Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This video consists of three related stories. The Casey report has been released into the London Police Service, the Metropolitan Police, and she is calling for it to be basically broken up because it is too big and it is too corrupt, and that hundreds of Met officers need to be fired immediately. We have a second piece where Mark Rowley, the Chief Commissioner of the Met, has said that he acknowledges that there are some very, very awful people in the police. People who actually represent a clear and present danger to the public in general and to women in particular. And then as a side issue, and one that beggars belief, I mean, of all the videos, and I have done many videos on how awful and bad the police are, this one beggars belief. It is about Kent Police and what they suggest you do for women who are attacked. It is not even funny anymore. Something needs to change. They need a countrywide disbandment of all police forces, and they need to start from scratch, but this time made up of people who can actually do the job and who actually understand the responsibilities for which that uniform lies. Let's look at these reports. I've put them all together. I'm not doing three. I'm sort of coalescing them all into one. But when you see what's going on, you too will come to the inevitable conclusion that not only are the police are not your friend, but that the police forces we have should not even exist in their form anymore. Let's go, and it is appalling. And I don't really know where to begin with these three things. I'm going to start with this first one. Baroness Casey, her report is out. It's beyond belief that this has even come to the point where she needed to do this report. You would have thought that the police, after years of being told what's going on, would have dealt with this themselves, but alas not. And now hopefully political action will be taken, and that some very, very senior officers will lose their jobs, will lose their pensions, and a lot of the middle ranks absolutely need to go. So anyway, hundreds of Met police officers should be sacked, Baroness Casey warns, as forces outside of London pledge reforms in the wake of a damning report. Baroness Casey said a purge was needed after her damning review of the Met. Several hundred Met police officers should be sacked to purge the ranks from the racist, sexist and homophobes, the author of a damning review of the force said today. Baroness Casey told the London Assembly Police and Crime Committee that disciplinary proceedings needed to be toughened up as part of a clampdown on rogue officers. I'll be honest and say the rogue officers are by far and away the majority of officers, especially in the Met. There aren't one or two bad apples. The whole damn barrel is rotten to the core. Her review, published yesterday, exposed a broken and corrupt organisation which tolerates abusive behaviour and fails the victims of R. The fallout from the report has been felt beyond London, with police and crime commissioners from across the country today pledging to enact their own reforms in response. And it's about time. And they can't pretend that this is a surprise. They have known about this for years. I have done hundreds of videos on how bad the police forces of this country are, up and down the entire nation. This is not a surprise. This is concentrating on the Met, but it's every single force. This morning, Baroness Casey was asked by a London Assembly member how many officers should be sacked in the light of the wrongdoing she uncovered. Not all the wrongdoing, just the ones that she uncovered as part of her investigation. So Mark Rowley, she said, will have a greater sense for himself, but I know we're not talking hundreds, but several hundreds would be my estimation. And I think Sir Mark will say the same thing later this morning, she said. In actual fact, there's over 1,000 Met officers being investigated right now just for sexual crimes. So I think the number isn't several hundreds. I think the number needs to get into thousands. She said the Met Commissioner later confirmed her estimate, telling the committee we're testing a different legal route to remove officers who we think no longer pass the vetting standards, which is something that hasn't been done in the past. No, it hasn't. You're vetted once, if you're vetted at all, and then that's you for the rest of your career. Police vetting needs to be annual and ongoing. She said, he said, so removing the hundreds of people that shouldn't be here in the Met is clearly a part of the solution, and you'll start to see progress on that in my next update, as much as setting up the vast majority of good people with better resources to do that. I don't think the majority in the police are the good people. I think the majority are the corrupt officers. The Commissioner insisted that there is momentum to overhaul the Met, but it would take time. Now, that's him going on. I've more or less finished with the Casey part, and then we're getting into the Mark Rowley part. So I'm just going to flick over to this part here, which is like the next part of it. Bang. And this is Met Chief Mark Rowley admits the force has racists, misogynists and homophobes in its ranks, as the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, blasts serious failures of culture, leadership and standards in Scotland Yard. And it's not a surprise to anyone. So anyway, he's saying that he's admitting that these things are happening, and he knows he's got to do it. So he said, I absolutely accept the diagnosis that Louise Casey comes up with. We have these people in the organisation, and it's not just about individuals. We have systemic failings, management failings and cultural failings. In a statement to the Commons, Miss Braverman, the Home Secretary, said that there's been serious failures of culture, leadership and standards in the force, and some issues could take years to fully address. Discriminatory attitudes and homophobic, racist or misogynist behaviour have no place in policing, and all of the case studies and references contained in the report make for shocking reading. Now, there is a case of a woman Met officer, a senior officer in the Met, who said that should she be attacked by a man who then went on to R her, not only would she not report that to her own force, she said given the response of police forces generally, she'd be very unlikely to report it at all. Now, when you've got a senior police officer, a female police officer, saying that she would not even report an attack like that because the police would do nothing, you know how bad the police are. But this next one, very quickly, I'm just going to flick this over, because even as bad as all this is, even with everything here, where the reports are coming in about how bad the police are, and the senior police officers themselves admitting how bad the police are, this will take your breath away. Imagine your wife, or your daughter, or your mother, your niece, a female friend of the family, whatever, had been attacked and had been R-ed by a man in the street. She'd been dragged, assaulted, with physical force, and then R-ed. You'd think that you'd phone the police, wouldn't you? And that the police would somehow respond. You'd think that. But you'd be wrong, because of this. Kent Police is slammed for a poster classifying R as a non-emergency crime that should be reported online. That is how the police forces of this country treat women and women's safety. It's a non-emergency crime. Just go online and fill a report in online when you have had that. The Chief Constable of Kent needs, if he hasn't resigned already, to be fired with immediate effect. Whoever came up with that and designed that poster and made that decision needs to be fired with immediate effect. If you are putting R and SA next to crimes such as antisocial behaviour and shoplifting, then you have got not only a very serious mental issue, but you are showing fantastic misogyny and an absolute hatred to women in every single way. You deserve no place in society. And there's been a massive, massive outcry, as you can imagine. Kent Police is facing an outcry after internet users shared images of a poster displayed in its station window in Maidstone that classified R and SA as non-emergency crimes. The poster, a black and white A4 printout, told passers-by how non-emergency inquiries can be shared with the police force via an online form, and listed those crimes in the same category as antisocial behaviour, fraud and road traffic incidents. So police forces in this country treat a car accident or someone speeding exactly the same as, it's just the same as R-ing a woman. It's no different. Bit of speeding, you've done a bit of speeding, you've hard a woman, it's fine. The police aren't interested. It's not important. This is how the police treat women. This is why the police forces in this country need to be completely disbanded. Every single officer needs to be fired. Every single senior officer needs to be fired. Any committing any form of crime needs to be prosecuted and jailed. And then the police force needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. But this time, not employing people like this. It is disgusting. And it's enough to make your blood boil. And I'm going to stop because I can feel the anger rising. But I will finish here and I will come up and we will finish this video. And boy, is this unbelievable. I mean, I've said it many, many times that the police are not your friend. But for what Kent police are telling women to do in such a case, that goes beyond just plain inefficiency or stupidity. That beggars a level of compliance with the malfeasance that they're pushing. It's almost as though they're inviting men to do this to women because they have got zero regard. And it isn't just Kent. We see these things all over the country all the time. Police just not doing their job. They are either corrupt or they're inept or they're stupid. Or worse, they're just plain evil. The things that we've seen recently that police officers are doing to women. We have to think of Wayne Couzens, for example, but he's not the last. And he's not going to be, the only one that's still out there. There's going to be loads of them out there still doing these things. We need a root and branch change. And at least now it's in official hands. They officially know how bad the police is. Something we've all known for quite some time. Whether anything comes of it, of course, is another matter because which police force will they start with? I mean, it's got to be the Met. But after that, any police force you start with will just claim, oh, this is, just picking on us because. No. Every single force, every single one, every chief constable or commissioner needs to be responsible for every man below him. And when they commit a crime, the chief constable is ultimately sanctioned as well. Anyway, I shall stop now because this is just an appalling abuse of power by the police and we need to keep on it. Everybody needs to know what they're like. So I would ask you to hit that subscribe button, to hit the like button, but most of all share the video, make people aware of what our police forces are doing and what they treat women like. The fact this poster even exists is so disgusting. Anyway, until next time, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and if you're a woman, stay well away from a policeman. And goodbye.